Alright, what up, guys? So, real quick, I just want to try to shoot this video to show my buddies kind of what I do to take pictures of my clothes, how I set it up, what I do. I'm using indirect sunlight right now. Um, I don't have the right lighting to do it inside. My light box is not quite functioning the way I wanted to, so I found doing it outside works the best. What I use is some paper towel to diffuse if I need it. Just a little macro clip on my Note 5 camera. And I use these to prop my RDA up if I need it. And yeah, so basically, get into it here. Get out of my email. Show you what I'm trying to do now. Basically, I'm going to go into my camera as soon as I can find it. I'm going to use the Pro mode on my camera here. You see my ugly mug there. Switch this view. Okay, and now I have the macro lens installed. So what I need to do first is adjust my tripod so that I'm over the coil where I want to be. So obviously I'm too far away now. You can see how it's all blurry. Before I even worry about that, I'm going to get into the Pro mode. Okay, which is now going to be set up a bit differently, but it's going to allow me to control a couple different functions here that you kind of need. So the ISO, shutter speed, your filter, your white balance, and your focus. Now what I'm going to do here is pop out my stylus because this little guy comes in super handy to manual focus. Okay. Before I go into manual, I'm going to set it over to auto. Now my white balance, okay, I want to put it somewhere around the 55, 54. That's around what natural daylight is supposed to be. I'm going to try to get my ISO as low as possible. I have it on 50 right now. I'm going to get the shutter speed to around 115, 110 in that area. That's going to allow a certain amount of light to come through. So now let's get the tripod mounted a little closer to where I want to be. Try to move this so our coil starts to come into focus. Now what's going on right now is I got a lot of light coming in from see at 115 it's just letting too much light in. So what I want to do here is I'm going to diffuse this by making like a little hood over the coil. Now you can do this magnitude of ways. For me, the paper towel thing kind of works. It's kind of hard to do this and shoot it and video it, but I'll do the best I can here. So now I'm just going to move my coil into focus here. Alright, now this is the tricky part because what you want to do is I want to get both coils in focus, right? So one, I need to make sure my zoom's not zoomed in at all, so we don't want that. And now I need to pull my phone away far enough so that I can get the whole coil in focus. See, this is the tricky part because you end up having to kind of play with the angle, the tilt of the RDA, and that's why I have those tweezers, like I was saying, because right now it's like the 510 is kind of propped on an angle. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to try to speed through this a little bit. Normally this is the part you end up playing with the most when you're trying to stack photos, because of what you're trying to get all the detail of the coil in. All of it in focus while being able to see all of it. So now you can see I'm getting some wicked glare right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this over, get into a little bit more of a shaded area. Sorry about the video quality here, guys. I mean, it's just kind of tough to do. So let's keep playing with that. Alright, so what you want to check when you're stacking is that your whole RDA can be focused in on. So one, I don't have enough diffusion. There's just too much light coming in on the coil. So you can see that as I play with the paper towel, it starts to darken up a bit. Another thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to lower my ISO. Try to get less light in there. Change my white balance a little bit. Now, again, these settings, you gotta kind of play with them. I don't really like the way that's yellowing up, so I'm gonna try to loosen that a little bit. Sorry, I'm trying to do this on camera here. Alright, so now to the focus. See how I'm trying to autofocus on this part right here? This is not coming into focus. Focus is in here pretty good. You can even shift it over to manual and see if when you're all the way out or all the way in, see, it's not focusing in on the front of the RDA at all. So that's just telling me that my coil is really not positioned well, or the macro is not positioned well to get this shot this way. So what I'm going to need to do is lower this and mess around with my angle a little bit more. And this takes some finagling of the tripod and moving of the RDA to get this, the way you want it. See, now I'm using the tweezers to kind of help prop the RDA up a little bit so it doesn't roll on me. Now, what I do too with the tripod is I'll start pulling on the legs here to adjust instead of moving the phone. If I think the phone is in a spot that I like, I'll just move the legs a little bit. It's something, again, trial and error. Keep playing with it. You see I got my little hood going on right now. So now I'm going to go back to the focus. It's a little bit harder to do when you're looking through a second phone. I'm going to click on auto. And I'm going to see what's going on when I try to autofocus in on certain spots. Just can't quite get that last bit up here to focus. Let's see what it does when it's down here. See, that focuses in nice. Over here. Again, so the point here is that you're trying to get each part of this coil in focus. Now you see how when I autofocus, it autofocuses. It focuses in on that part of the coil. And this is what you're going to be doing with your manual focus as you start from this part of the coil and work your way to the back. But now when I tap back here, you see it's having a hard time getting it. It'll get this one. But this last wrap right here, just plain hard to get. See? Alright, so it's having a hard time focusing in on that. So this is where you have to kind of play a little bit with the positioning of the RDA just ever so slightly. Maybe turn it. There you go. Lift it. Play with it just a little bit. You want to make sure that you can get everything in focus. And it really is. This is the hardest part, especially with my macro lens, because I have a shit macro lens. It's like a cheap $5 one. It doesn't want to cooperate properly. So we're going to keep playing with it. We're going to keep moving shit around. And see if that focuses in now. You can see how that focused in a bit better. Let's see what it does down here. And down here it's nice and focused. So what that's telling me is that it's going to focus. If I can just get this at the right distance, the right angle, I can get it to sit the whole coil in the pick. I'm gonna try this angle. Maybe this will work a little better. There we go. That's focusing up nice. But you can see this is in focus. This guy here is not. The idea is that you want to be able to get it all in focus, and if you can't, when you try to stack it, it's just not going to cooperate. So this is still no bueno. We'll move this guy over just a little bit. Again, this is the biggest pain in the ass part here. To stacking your photos with a phone. Again, you know, you got a focus rail and a camera. I would imagine that this part gets much easier. But because we cheat, it's kind of what we got to deal with. Okay, so that gets in focus nice. That focused up nice. Try this corner. That got into focus pretty nicely, and so did this. Try this back part here. Not terrible. Alright, so now, I'm going to place this hood back up here. And now what I'm going to do is go into my manual focus. Slide it at the beginning. Now what this is doing is it's focusing in here and then working its way through the coil. What you need to hope now is that your focus is going to stack nice. So this is going to be in focus here, and as I work my way through, it's going to focus in that way. So now I'm going to start my stack. Take my first picture. I have it on a timer so that the wobble from me hitting it doesn't mess it up. You can use a selfie stick too, but I found it's a little harder to do. I'm just going to move my manual focus up a little. Take another picture. Move it up again. Take another picture. Move it up some more. Take another picture. I'm going to repeat this process all the way through till I'm done. From one side of the RDA to the next. Depending on how little or how much you move that slider up or down, is how many pictures you're going to have in your stack. Now, there are certain programs that you can use while doing this that it will tell you the percentage that you've moved. Or I would imagine makes it a little easier to gauge how many pics you want in your stack, or how much you want to try to get. You know, your stack range is usually from 20 to 30 is probably the better range when using Helicon. But you can see every time I tap it, the tripod, no matter what you do with the phone, it's got a little wiggle to it. That's why having that timer to count down really helps. See, now it's starting to get a lot of the stuff in detail nice. Now we got a few pictures left to go. Working our way towards the back of this now. Let's get more of this outer ridge, more in focus. Oh, went a little too far there. Sorry about the wiggling, guys. I'm doing this by hand, kneeling down, trying to take these pictures. It's kind of hard to keep my hand steady and shaking at the same time. A few more pictures left. Go all the way to the end. That's it. That's my stack. Now, before I go inside and try to stack, what I'm going to do is try to get another stack. So I'm going to pause it here, get a different angle, and we'll start it again. Okay, so after fucking 20 minutes of repositioning, messing around, even changing from one shitty macro clip to another, I finally think I got another shot that I'm going to like how it stacks. So we're going to start this again. I have it in the first manual focus position. You can see here, if I go any further down on the slider, that's going to put it into auto. So we're going to take our first shot here of this stack. I'm going to go back up to manual. Slide it up a little bit and stack. So now, when I'm done with this, I'm going to have 2 stacks, which should be more than enough for, 2 pre-fire images of this set of coils. I haven't even start to try to color these things. These are right out of the ultrasonic here. I'm kind of liking how this works. Now again, what I had to do before doing this was jump on autofocus, play around with all the different spots, make sure I'm getting at least the 2 coils in focus in the deck and everything. What would make this process much easier is a 37mm macro, which is already on order. What that allows me to do, I'm hoping, is be a little further away from the coil so that I can get more of the RDA in focus rather than having to be right on top of the RDA. And again, I think that's also because I have like a 12.5 or a 15 times zoom, which forces me to be much closer to the subject while I'm shooting it. Where if I had, like a 4 times or a 6 times macro, I could be a little further away, still get the detail that I want well enough to shoot a stack, and stack it on Helicon. So you can see it's working its way up the front coil here. As I go a little further into the focus here, it's going to start to bring this area more into focus. I hope. This is how I start the stacks. If for some reason it doesn't seem to get other areas of the coil in focus where I know I can get it into focus, what I'll do is I'll just put it into auto and click on the spots where I didn't see it focusing on. But it seems like it's starting to bring this part. You can see this part of the RDA and this part here starting to get more and more in focus. Probably could have grabbed another paper towel to diffuse this just a little better, but for the purposes of what I'm trying to do here, I think it's going to work out okay. I could always darken it a little bit after the fact. You can see now this is totally out of focus, and this is starting to come more into focus here, which is basically what we want. That's what we're trying for. So we can get the whole coil in focus. See, it's definitely more and more. That's more into focus now than it was when we first started. This is the goal. The only thing I'm really not liking is the sun is really starting to bounce in, and I don't think I have enough diffusion on this part. It's really putting a nice little glare on this coil, which might kill my stacking. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to reshoot this stack off camera. Just grab some more diffusion, some more paper towels, make a nice little hood, and we'll get back to this in a second.